Kaya, hello. I respectfully acknowledge the past and present traditional owners of the land on which we're standing, the Noongar people from the Whadjuk Nation. On this land, we're standing to make this presentation to the parents and guardians of our Year 12 students of 2023. Joining me in this presentation is Mr. Tim Dowd, who is our VET coordinator. The agenda for this presentation is as listed on the whiteboard. Session B is not going to be covered today, but it will be looking at demystifying the ATAR, and that will be relevant for those students who are on an ATAR pathway, and that presentation will be made available to all at the end of term 1. So as you can see from the graphic, the road ahead still got some windy bits in it, but hopefully the vision ahead is not too clouded. So what we need to look at here is making sure that the final year of senior secondary schooling is a successful one for your young person. So what does it mean to be successful? What we're hoping for is that everyone will receive that piece of paper, which is called the West Australian Certificate of Education, which we actually abbreviate to WACE. So, successful completion of secondary schooling will afford the student that particular piece of paper. As I said, it's known as the WACE. Some people refer to it as graduation, but we use the term WACE, which is the more correct term. The majority of students will receive the WACE, but not everybody, unfortunately. Studies towards the WACE for those people who don't meet at the end of 2023 is actually open for a lifetime, and students can contribute to that as post-Year 12 students. The reason why the WACE is only afforded to those people, not all students, is because there are certain requirements that need to be met. However, all students will receive a document from the Schools Curriculum and Standards Authority called the WACE, which stands for the West Australian Statement of Student Achievement. And what that is, you can see from the image on the left, what that is a list of all courses, all qualifications a student has achieved, and in the years from years 10 to year 12. In this school, our senior schooling starts at year 11. So any achievement that the student has made in courses, certificate qualifications, endorsed programs, which are many, is listed on that particular piece of paper. For those students who are involved in outside activities like cadets, in music, they need to check with Mr. Dowd in the VET office, because that achievement can be contributed to an endorsed program, which is useful to have on this particular piece of paper called the West Australian Statement of Student Achievement. So, as I said earlier, not everybody receives the WACE, but everybody gets a WACE. In order to receive the WACE, students need to have met certain requirements. And those requirements, just to recap, are that the student must be in a pathway of some sort. So they're doing either an ATAR or a general pathway, as listed in those 3 dot points there. They need to have also met the breadth and depth requirement. They also need to have met the achievement standard, and they also need to have met literacy and numeracy. When all those requirements are met, the student will be awarded the West Australian Certificate of Education, or the WACE. Should one of those requirements not be met, the student will not receive their WACE, but they will receive a WACE. So the breadth and depth, just to remind you again, students need to have at least 20 course units or equivalent completed over the 2 years. They need to have a certain number of units completed at Year 12 level, and they must have 4 units of English. And I think all of our students are on track to complete that requirement, because it talks about completion of those courses. The 2nd dot point refers to the achievement standard. So one can complete 20 course units, or 15 or 18 or 12, but achieve grades which are less than C. That's where the 2nd requirement for WACE achievement may not be met. So to complete a course means a grade has been achieved. However, to meet the achievement standard, there needs to be a certain level of achievement. So of those 20 course units, 14 must have been achieved at a grade of C or better. And of those 14, 6 must have been achieved at Year 12 level. So for those students who have less than 6 or less C grades from Year 11, their work is cut out because they must achieve 14 C grades or better by the end of this year. The final requirement is demonstration of literacy and numeracy competence, and that's how it's done. There is a mistaken belief that a student must pass English to demonstrate literacy. That's not correct. They must do English, and if they pass it, that's great, but they must demonstrate literacy and numeracy through either OLNA or NAPLAN. So, we're halfway through the journey to senior secondary schooling, so looking back, what we use to check the student progress is what we call the WACE tracker, and that's the graphic of the WACE tracker. So this particular student's WACE tracker has no red in these 3 sections of the table. That represents the breadth and depth, which means it's in progress, so they're on track. This represents achievement standard, which is not red, so it's on track. And this represents OLNA, and there are 3 red-green boxes there, and that means that all 3 components of OLNA have been met. So that student is on track. Up here there's a pale red square. That's a grade for Year 12. That's a grade that indicates that it's less than 50% at this point, so it's just a concern. There's nothing to be alarmed about at this stage. So that particular WACE tracker, that person is tracking fine. And this was someone's at the end of Year 11. And these are the components that I just referred to. The second WACE tracker is not so good because breadth and depth is an issue, achievement standard is an issue, even though OLNA has been met. So using the WACE tracker, at the end of last year, students were met with the VET coordinator, and they reviewed their progress. So looking through the review mirror is great because that's what needed to be done, the achievement so far. However, we can't go through life looking through the review mirror, we must now look ahead. So we're at the point where we need to look at what is ahead for 2023. Whoops-a-daisy. Okay, so these are the options moving forward. Changing pathways, well that's already been done for a number of students. They've decided that an 8R pathway is not a prosperous pathway for them, therefore through consultation with the VET coordinator and their parents, they moved to a general pathway. And that happened at the end of last year, so they started this year on a general pathway. For those people who continued on a pathway that was a little bit dodgy for them, I suppose, there is also a consideration that they can look at this year and look at maybe putting in a mid-year TAFE entry. It's not out of the question because as the graphic here shows, the gate's the same size, the number of people trying to get through that gate is much less mid-year, therefore that's an option for some people who may have decided to continue with their 8R pathway, but things are not working out for them, mid-year TAFE entry. For the students on a general pathway, that's an option that's also available to you should you choose to take that. So, further options moving forward. Change courses. For those people who continue with the same courses last year, the final date for changing courses is looming. It's Thursday the 30th of March. After that date, students cannot change from one course to another. Students may withdraw from courses, but not change courses after that date. So that's an option moving forward. Or changing nothing, but improving the effort. That's the only option left. So if your young person has not really fully engaged in their studies in Year 11, now's the time to actually improve their efforts. So how can they do that? First of all, they need to complete their assessment program. And they need to make sure that they are not penalising themselves by not meeting the assessment policy. So work must be submitted on time. Regular and strategic revision is absolutely necessary. research shows that students working in groups is also positive, so forming study groups with friends. On Monday afternoon at school, there's a study hub for senior school students, and that's where the study groups can also be formed and also extra assistance gained. There's also a study club, and that's for all students from year 7 to 12, and that operates on Mondays and Thursdays, and that's in the library. And then take advantage of revision programs, be they at school or be they privately provided. It's absolutely crucial that the students choose the improvement effort if they continue with the same courses that they did last year. So, looking forward, finishing strong. General courses, there are written assessments that need to be done. Maybe not as much study, but there are written assessments. However, there are tasks that require you to recall. Therefore, studying is not just the domain of 8R courses. In Term 2, the general course students sit an EST, which stands for Externally Set Tasks. That's a task that's set by the School's Curriculum and Standards Authority, and all students doing that particular course will be sitting the EST. That EST is used as a guide that sets the standard for that particular course. So preparation first of all for the EST, and achievement in the EST is absolutely crucial that it's at the student's best. Because should they achieve a very poor result in the EST because they chose not to take it seriously, then the authority, the School's Curriculum and Standards Authority, could then deem that the school grade is not a valid grade because the EST mark is so different from the school grade. So it's absolutely crucial that students take the EST assessment very, very seriously. Study for it, prepare for it, and do their best in the time. With 8R courses, there's always tests and there's always examinations. So it's really important that the students take that preparation very seriously. In semester 1, the exams are in week 6 and 7 of term 2, and they're either 2.5 or 3 hours long. And then the WACE examinations follow semester 2 examinations, which happens in term 4. One of the conditions for the 8R course completion is that the student must sit the WACE exam in November. If they're enrolled in an 8R course, they're automatically enrolled in the examination. Failure to sit that examination for whatever reason, if it's not a good reason, then definitely this will be true. That particular course, which will be equivalent to 2 units completion, then becomes 0 because it's classified as unfinished. So it's absolutely crucial that students understand that every 8R course that they're enrolled in, they must sit the WACE examination in November. So, to prepare for the examinations, at the end of every day, I encourage all students, be they general or 8R, to sit down and review the lessons for the day. One of the tools that they can use to review the lessons is using the Cornell note template. On the left-hand side, a summary of what happened in that lesson, what you've learnt in that lesson. On the left-hand side, a few new words that you may need to write in, students may need to write in there, because it's absolutely crucial that students be familiar with the technical language of that particular course. And at the bottom, there are things, an opportunity for the student to say, well, I didn't quite understand whatever part of the lesson is, so I must make sure that I ask the teacher that the next day. By doing that every night, one sheet for every course, every night, that then becomes a study booklet for students to use for subsequent examination preparation. So that's only one tool. There are many others, but that's one tool. And there's the assessment policy reminder. It's absolutely crucial that this doesn't happen, because a piece of work handed in 5 days or more late is only recorded as 50% of the value of that assessment. So if a child scores 80% for an assessment, then what's recorded is 40 because it's 5 days late. So then it becomes a question of, is the assessment grade an assessment of skills, knowledge and ability, or is it an assessment of time management? I hope that it's the first. The external WACE examinations, I briefly mentioned that earlier, and it's really crucial that students and parents and guardians understand the consequences of students not turning up for an examination. The authority focuses on fairness and equity for all students. So there's an equity of access form that students can fill out, the schools fill out on behalf of the students, that provides special considerations for students with some sort of medical or a physical disability. The due date for that is the 30th of March. Late submissions are not accepted unless, of course, it's a very late diagnosis. And for sickness and misadventure, during the examination period, remember I said you must turn up for the examination unless there's a good reason that hasn't happened. Sickness and misadventure. If for some reason a person is sick or some mishap happens during that examination period, then students are entitled to fill out the sickness and misadventure form because they're sick for no good reason or for no fault of their own, and the misadventure might be something that they didn't cause. So these are the two aspects of the WACE, the Schools Curriculum Standards Authority considerations to make sure that all students are treated fairly and they've got fair and equal access to the examinations. So looking to beyond 2023, I'll now pass over to Mr. Dowd, who will outline some of the options that your young person and you would be discussing and considering as we head towards 2023. It's not that long away. So I'll pass over to Mr. Dowd.
We're now going to look at options for students moving beyond 2023. Students have a number of possibilities for choices to make for 2024. Those choices include direct entry to university, alternative pathways to university, TAFE and private training organisations, traineeships or apprenticeships, or employment. The first of these options is direct entry to university. This is predominantly for ATAR students. Students will be looking to apply to West Australian universities such as Murdoch, UWA, Curtin, Edith Cowan University or Notre Dame. They may also be looking at interstate options. Direct entry is often referred to as front door entry. It's the most direct way to get into university. And for the majority of undergraduate courses, the required entry ATAR score is 70 or above, 80 if you're looking at the University of Western Australia. Universities will be on site at Kent Street during the 25th period, so it's period 2 on Thursdays, delivering Curtin University having already done so. Students aspiring to university should also take advantage of campus open days. These will be advertised to students through assemblies and to students' parents and carers through the sector as well, or you can visit the university websites for more information. TISC, or the Tertiary Institution Service Centre, is the way that the majority of applications will be lodged. Application process opens on the 1st of May this year. Only Australian citizens may apply through TISC. Those who are international students or on various subclass visas will need to consult with universities and perhaps apply directly. University applications through TISC, Edith Cowan, Curtin University, Murdoch and the University of Western Australia is where you will lodge your applications through TISC. You can also do direct applications to university for various courses through to UWA, and Notre Dame, being a private university, does direct applications to the university as well. Alternative entry pathways to university. All universities have alternative entry pathways. There are a number of alternative pathways available. Portfolio entry is available to most universities specifically for creative industries undergraduate degrees. Universities all have their own enabling programs as well. These were formerly known as bridging courses, which if you're not involved in Uni Ready in Year 12 at Kent Street you will then do in semester 1 of 2024 on site at the universities, so it's generally a semester, and completion of these courses guarantees you entry into that university for any undergraduate degree with an ATAR requirement of 70. There are TAFE or training pathways to university as well, so a certificate 4 or higher, which is generally a diploma, is recognised by some universities as a means of getting entry into undergraduate degrees. Please check with individual universities and courses as to whether this is the case. There are some English requirements for Cert 4 entry. For example, Curtin University and ECU do require proof of English proficiency. This can be through a high B or an A grade for general English courses, or through having done English, ATAR English, or through sitting the STAT test for literacy only. As it says there, please note that each university has its own entry requirements, and each course has its own specific entry requirements. You should be researching this. The best way is to go online and to call directly to speak to university admissions help. They are extremely useful. The next option is TAFE, and there are a lot of options. As you can see there, we have 2 TAFEs in the metropolitan area, South Metro TAFE and North Metro TAFE, at a variety of campuses. The campuses generally specialise in specific courses, so depending on what you want to do, you may need to travel to those. TAFE applications for 2024 open in August of this year. That's for a semester 1 start in 2024. Many courses are now half-priced, some are even free due to state government funding. You can check this through the South and North Metropolitan TAFE websites. All students wanting to apply for qualifications at TAFE will be given assistance, but you need to make your intentions known, either to myself or to Mr. Watson, the career practitioner at Kent Street, so that we can assist you with that. TAFE is a good option as a backup plan. So if you are planning for employment or even planning for university, you might want to, as your backup, consider putting an application in for TAFE. If you choose not to accept your any offers that come from TAFE, there's no harm done in having that anyway. TAFE, for more information, you just need to visit the South or North Metropolitan websites. They're very extensive. You can also visit the TAFEs. Most of them have jobs and skill centres, which I'll talk about in a little bit anyway. Private training organisations are also an offer. These can be thought of as like TAFE. The only difference is that they're not state-run, and you have to pay a fee for service in order to attend. Some examples up there are the Health Science Hub, specialise in health and sciences qualifications, usually for students who are looking at going into something like nursing or community services. SA Creative Media Institute do Cert 4s in creative industries, as well as diploma courses, and the Jampot School of Aviation with a diploma of aviation. The Australian Institute of Fitness offers Cert 3 and 4s in the fitness industry, and the Engineering Institute of Technology. There are many more. The best way to find out about these is to go online and research the specific industry area that you're looking into and the private training organisations associated with them. If you do need assistance with this, please come and see me in the CAVE office for help there. The next option is traineeships or apprenticeships. Traineeships or apprenticeships provide hands-on skills and work experience. They improve your employment prospects and a range of career choices. On completion, a trainee or an apprentice will receive a nationally recognised qualification in their chosen vocational areas. As a distinction between the two, a traineeship is often in areas such as hospitality, business or community services, whereas apprenticeships often tend to be in trade-orientated areas such as electricians, machinists, engineering, automotive, etc. Apprenticeships or traineeships, you can seek information about this online. The example that I've got there is apprenticeshipcentral.com. If you go on there, they list vacancies. You just use it as a search engine to look for apprenticeships or traineeships in the industry area of your choice. As you can see there, a search for automotive will bring up a range of options from first to fourth year automotive apprenticeships. You can be more specific with your search parameters, and you should be looking for those in the Perth area and even more specifically south of the river. Employment. Employment can be found through a variety of means. The example that I've provided up there is seek.com. Seek.com is good for employment. It's also good for looking for traineeships or apprenticeships as well. Again, you use it as a search engine looking for jobs in your area of interest, and you can specify these using the where parameters on the website as well. And finally, we have the Jobs and Skills Centres. Jobs and Skills Centres are located at TAFEs throughout the metropolitan area. Jobs and Skills Centres are staffed by people that can assist those seeking employment and also those seeking apprenticeship and traineeship opportunities. They also have specialist advice for Aboriginal and Indigenous people looking for those services as well. One of the really good things about the Jobs and Skills Centre's website is the jobs board. This can be accessed simply by going through Jobs and Skills Centres. And as you can see, the Jobs and Skills Centre's jobs board is used simply as a search engine. Students can type in the profession or apprenticeship or traineeship they're looking for and set the required parameters, and this will yield the results. This is updated on a daily basis and it has thousands of opportunities. And that concludes our section for Beyond 2023. Thank you.